So today we're going to go through this Shasta 18BH bunkhouse trailer. Start in the front at the power jack. You'll see this has a couple switches on it. This switch just turns the light on and off, and this switch is to raise and lower the jack. Now this is 12 volt. This will run off your battery or when you're plugged in. There's also a backup crank, so you can remove this rubber cap and you can crank this manually also if you had a power failure or it's not working. So that's your backup system. I'll show you where that crank is as we get around to it. There is a fuse in line with this jack, so right on the wire harness here you'll see there's a little black holder that holds the fuse for the motor. So if this isn't working and you're trying to do a little troubleshooting, just keep in mind where the fuse is located. You can pull that out and see if it's blown or not. This is the propane tank. Now we filled these, so this is full of gas, ready to go. You just got to turn this valve on when you're going to use the getting ready to use the RV. When you're storing this camper, remember to turn the gas off just for safety reasons. In here you're going to find the cranks. So this little silver crank, this is for that front stabilizer, or the front jack rather. That'll raise and lower that manually. This crank, the longer one, that's for your stabilizer legs, and you'll see that's over here. And you can actually use a drill on there if you want with a 3/4 inch socket, so you don't have to crank it. This is the electric cord. This is a detachable cord, and I'll show you where this goes as we start to walk around. And this is the 30 amp connector you're going to find at your campgrounds. We also give you an adapter so you can plug this in at home. And keep in mind this is 110. Even though this looks like a dryer plug, don't try to force this into anything. This is a regular 110 service, and I'll show you the adapter that we want you to use at home when you go to plug this in. There are some lights in here, and these just have buttons, so you can turn them on and off. These are great because they light up the whole compartment, so you can kind of see what's going on. There is this plug on the side of this unit, and this is a 2-pin 12 volt connector. This is here to connect a solar panel. So if you're ever at a state park where you don't have electric, you can add a solar panel, plug it in right here, put it on the ground, and that's going to keep your batteries charged and and run your lights and everything in the camper. So that's a great accessory to add if you're going to go to state parks and stuff like that to keep your batteries charged. We also roof mount solar panels. They put out a little more power, so just keep that in mind. If you're going to do a lot of off the grid camping, we can get a roof panel mounted for you, and it works all the time. This is for cable and satellite. If you have either of those at the campground, you can tie those in. This is where your electric cord connects in. This is a twist lock connector. Again, 30 amp service, which is pretty standard at all your campgrounds. So this large port here, it says fresh water connection. This is to fill the fresh water tank, or the potable tank. So this is if you're going to go, again, to a state park, off the grid, somewhere where you don't have any services. So this allows you to fill this unit with water at your house and bring your own water supply with you. If you walk to the back here, you'll see another water connection, city water. Now the city water is what you're going to use at a campground. So most campgrounds you go, they're going to give you water and electric on your site. And if you have on-site water, that's where you connect, is to this port. And this is just a garden hose fitting. Of course, we recommend an RV drinking water safe hose, but it's the same fitting as on your garden hose. And that just screws in and gives you a direct pressure connection inside your... Now just keep in mind, this does not fill that freshwater tank. So if you're going somewhere with no connections, you're going to fill this at home. If you go to a campground that has water, you're using your city water connection. There is another port you're going to see here, and this says antifreeze inlet. Now this one you don't use for water. This is just used, like it says, this is for antifreeze. This is for part of winterization. This is going to get used. That's another topic we're not going to cover right now. I can give you more information on that if you'd like to try to do it yourself, or you can bring it into us. We winterize these while you wait, and we guarantee. So the last port underneath here, you're going to see it says freshwater drain, and you're going to see this large T handle. That's your tank right there, actually. That's your freshwater tank. If you go to a campground or in the woods where you don't have hose connection, so you've been using your freshwater tank, when you're all done camping, you're going to want to pull that valve. That drains off any unused fresh water. Don't leave water in this tank for the whole season. That's a bad habit. You could get mold, bacteria growth in the tank, and you don't want that. So make sure you drain that, keep it clean when you're not using it. This is, of course, the outside shower. And down here you're going to see your waste port. So this is when you're all done camping now and you want to empty out your wastewater. So you're going to attach your hose right here, and you're going to see a gray handle and a black handle. So if you pull that black handle, that's going to drain off your black water, which is the waste from your toilet. After that's done, you're going to close it, and you're going to switch over to this handle. You're going to pull that gray handle, which drains your gray water, which is waste from the sink and shower. There's gauges inside too, and I'll show you those when we get in there. And that's great. It's going to allow you to check how much water you have in those tanks so you know when it's time to empty them. Now this is the service panel for your water heater. And I mean, this operates, you turn this on and off on the inside, so you really don't do anything out here. Of course, when it gets winterized, we're going to want to get in here because there is a drain plug. I'll try to zoom in so you could see it a little better. It says, I think it says J on it or something like that. So that plug, that's to drain your water heater. That's for service maintenance, most importantly for winterizing. But other than that, you're just going to leave this thing locked up. You really don't go in there during the year. This is the vent for the stove. This has a little flap. You can snap that shut, when you're not using it. But when you're using the camper, make sure it's open. That'll allow the exhaust fan to function properly. And a couple things in here. I put your hitch in here. This is the Recurve R3 weight distribution with integrated sway. I'm going to show you to do that in another video. I also have our starter kit in here, and I'm going to go through that at the end of the video with you. There's another light in here too, as you can see. All right, we're going to head inside. So there's a couple lights up here, and these are just like the ones in the front. You just push these. There's a little button to turn them on and off. Over here you have a 110 outlet. There's also 2 USB ports built in. Those will charge your cell phones. So you got a dedicated outlet for those. Up here, this is the control panel, and you're going to see 2 light switches. So this is to turn on and off that LED strip that's under the awning. So that's outside. And this is your inside lights. So this is going to turn on the center row of LED lights in here. So if you come in late at night and it's dark, you can just hit that switch and get your lights turned on in here. There's some other lights in here you may see. And again, if you want to turn these on, you're just pushing the button on and off. Top left, you're going to see this panel. This is for your holding tanks. And like if I wanted to check my black tank, for example, that's the toilet waste. You're just going to push black, and you can see it says E, empty. as you use this, if you come back and check, you'll see eventually it's going to go 1/3, 2/3 full. Once it's full, then you know you got to go out there, you got to get that emptied out. So over here you got, you're going to see water heater gas, water heater electric. So this turns on that water heater I showed you outside. Now right now this unit's dry, it doesn't have any water in it. So, you know, we don't want to turn these on because we can damage the water heater running it dry. So that's very important. When you go to a campground, always connect in your water first and go to your sink. Make sure the water flows and there's no blockage or air trapped in the system. That'll take you a couple minutes to get the air purged out. And only after the air is purged out will you turn these on. Now gas will work anywhere. So if you're in a state park or you're out in the woods with no connections, you're going to use the gas mode. You're going to turn that switch on. And that's going to use your propane gas to make hot water. If you're at a campground and you're plugged in to using their electric, you may want to use this side instead. And this uses electric to make hot water. So you're not going to use your gas. So you can use either mode. You're going to turn those on. Again, once you have your water hooked up and your water is running properly, then you're going to turn on the water heater. And you can leave those on while you're camping. They take about 20 minutes to heat up. So you're going to turn it on and you got to wait before you're going to actually get, you know, warm water come through the faucet. The last switch here, you're going to see a water pump. Now, the water pump is used for your onboard tank. So if you remember outside the unit, right around here, there was a port and it said, you know, water fill. It was the round port, and that puts water into your freshwater tank. So that's, again, if you're going to go someplace where there's no hose connection, you're going to fill that up at home. Once you get to the campsite, you're going to turn your pump on, and you're going to leave that on the whole time you're camping. And that pump is a pressure pump. That creates water pressure in the RV using water from your tank. So you turn the pump on, and then you'll see, you know, your sink and toilet and everything will start to work. So the pump gets used, again, that's if you don't have a hose to connect to, you're going to use the pump. However, when you go to a campground and you connect into their water, so you're going to use their water with their hose and you're going to leave it connected, then the pump stays off. So you don't need the pump when you're connected to an external water source. The pump is only used if you want to use water on your onboard tank. Okay, so around here we got the stove. And one thing with this stove, anytime you're using the stove, always run the fan, and you should have a window open as well. The glass, this stays down for travel, but anytime you use the stove, you're going to open this first. So you fold that back and go up with it. So down here, these are your burner controls for your top burners. I'm just going to light all these for demonstration. But, you know, I'll turn these to high. And then this is your sparker. This is like a gas grill. This is clockwise only. There's no arrow here, but only turn this knob clockwise. It just goes around and around. And you can see this is light. That'll light the top burners for you. Okay, I'm going to shut these off. So we're going to go in the oven now, and I'll show you how to light this. Now the oven has a pilot light. So this is going to be an extra step if you want to use the oven. What you'll do on the knob, you're going to turn this to where it has that little flame. And now you have to hold this in with your thumb. So see, it moves a little bit. So we're going to hold that in, number one. And then we're going to turn our spark knob. So let me see if I can set the camera down so you can see what's going on here. Okay, now I'm going to crank this knob. So now, if you can see it not, see there's a small blue, there we go. There's a little blue flame back there. That's your pilot light. Now I'm continuing to hold this knob in. You have to hold this in about 20 seconds. Then you can let it go. And then you can set your temperature. So now I'll go to put it on 350. And now you can see the big burner just kicked on. So now this thing's gonna make some heat. There is a little button here. This turns on a light in the oven. Pretty cool. It's the only RV stove I've ever seen that has a light in the oven. That's really neat. These light up too at night. Little night light. The knobs light up blue. Kind of like just a nice little night light you can leave on. You can see the flames running down there now. Okay, so when you're through cooking, you're gonna turn this all the way to off, okay? And then remember to shut this down before you go down the road. Make sure you close that thing up right there. All right, and here's your fridge. Pretty simple. Up here, you'll see there's a little button. And this is to set the temperature. If you hit this, see it goes 5, that's the coldest. 1, that's, you know, not as cold. So you can set that. Also, if you hold this down for 3 seconds, I don't know if you can see it says hold 3 seconds, that turns this on and off. So, you know, when you're storing this, you know, you're probably going to want to shut this thing off so it doesn't run all the time. To turn it back on, you're just going to hold it down 3 seconds. And you'll see it lights up now. Light comes on in here and she's up and running. There's an adjustment on the freezer too. This makes it a little colder. You know, get it a little colder up here if you need. You can adjust that. This is a lot. This keeps the doors closed when you're going down the road just so they don't pop open on you. Now this is the thermostat for the heating and cooling. Down here you're going to see there's a little slider, and this is where you set your temperature. And up here there's an on-off switch, and this may be hard to see in the video, but I don't know if I can get it to show up or not. Okay, see it says off, and there's an arrow pointing to the right. Again, this is for the heat. So this is off right now. If you want to turn this on, you're just going to push this to the left. So I just clicked it over, and I don't know if you heard it or not, but the furnace just started. This is your furnace, by the way, right here. This delivers a lot of hot air. That'll heat the unit up for you fairly quickly. Again, you can set your temperature with the switch on the bottom. So that turns it on and off. That's where you set your temperature. That'll take a few minutes to start heating up for us. Back here you got a light switch. This is for the ceiling light. Overhead. There's also a little switch up here. And that's an exhaust fan. You can crank this lid open when you're taking a shower, turn the fan on, that'll vent this unit out for you. You're gonna see there's a GFI outlet over here by the sink. That's in case something gets wet, it shuts off the electric. If that's tripped out, that's gonna turn all the outlets off. So if something's not working, you may wanna come in here to check that, because that's gonna turn all the outlets on and off in the unit. On the front of the toilet, you're going to see there's a foot pedal. This still has some antifreeze in it right now, as you see. That's the pink. RV antifreeze dyed pink to help you identify it with leaks. If you push this pedal halfway, that would normally fill the bowl with water. Now an RV toilet, it doesn't automatically fill up like your house toilet does. So before you use this, especially, number 2, make sure you fill this up with water so it, it can flush. When you push the pedal all the way, that flushes just like that, just drops into the tank, okay? So, good habit here, make sure you use a little extra water when you flush this. The more water that's in your tank, the cleaner it's going to stay, the better it's going to empty when it's time to empty it. Shower's pretty self-explanatory. You just set your temp here, and the shower head, that's an on-off, that little thumb tab there. You can flip that left and right. That'll shut the water on and off, so when you're taking a shower, you can shut down the water while you're soaping up and stuff. Remember, RVs only have a 6-gallon water heater, so it's enough for one shower, and then you're gonna have to pause and let it regenerate before somebody else takes a shower. So this is an extra light. You got a light over. There's another light under here too for this bunk. There's also some storage back here. Kind of a little hidden cubby hole, but you got a little storage there. Same thing on the top bunk. Some storage in the back there. So this furnace, it's running now. This thing's cranking. I mean, it's got a lot of heat coming out of it. You can aim this too, up or down or wherever you want your heat to go. This thing's gonna heat up in here really quick. This is the electrical panel. So this has got your fuses and circuit breakers. Really, you don't have to do anything in there. Just if something's not working and you're trying to troubleshoot, you can pop that open and figure out what's going on. So this is the air conditioning unit up top. For this to work, of course, you have to be plugged in. So far, everything in here that we've gone through runs propane in 12 volt. So this is all standalone stuff you can operate without electricity. However, if you want to use this air conditioning, you're going to need to be plugged in somewhere. I mean, this is really simple. You just turn the knob. There's a fan setting, and that's just going to blow the air around in here. And if you go around to cool, so you got high cool, low cool, and then this is a temperature, and you'll see it goes blue to red. So the coldest is going to be all the way to blue. I mean, that's probably not showing up that good on the camera, but you'll see it when you look at it. It's pretty simple to understand how to do that. Just put that thing on high cool, and that's going to deliver your air through here. There is a little flap in here too, and you see this opens and closes. Actually, that's what this lever's for. You can open and close it here. So if you wanted to send out, a lot of air to the front or the back, you can open and close those as needed. There's also a filter here and a filter here. You're going to want to vacuum and clean those. Those are washable filters, so they can be reused. Honestly, this air conditioner is like way overkill for this unit, so probably on low is going to be fine, because you're just going to turn this thing into a walk-in cooler, really. So this is the mounting location for a TV. If you wanted to mount up a TV, you can connect it in over here to your ports. These are wires for the radio. If you wanted to have your TV audio come through the speakers, you can connect those in. You don't have to, but they do give you the option for that. And I'm going to turn this radio on just to kind of show you how to go through this. me get a station playing here. Alright, so we got a glare, so I don't know how well this is gonna show up on the video, but
keeping you and themselves thriving.
These two buttons here, they say Zone 1 and Zone 2. Those are the speakers. Okay, Zone 1 is inside.
And local government is offering free rapid.
Zone 2 is outside. Okay, so you can set those
Will be available on site.
kind of how you want it.
Dates and a appointment.
There's a mode button here. You can go through the different modes. If you wanted to plug something in out here, you can do that. This also has a Bluetooth mode. If you got music on your phone, you can put it through Bluetooth and you know, play it through there. So
because of her, we know that love
again, that's your
like
inside speakers.
Even though we have to keep our distance. At Big Y.
Okay, you got one there, one here. And if you go outside, you got two speakers on the outside also. To turn it off, you just hold the button down here and you'll see it's gonna say goodbye and then it shuts off. That turns the unit off. All right, the last thing in here is that black box. That's a propane leak detector and carbon monoxide detector. That's hardwired, so it runs all the time. Up here, you're gonna see there's a smoke detector. This smoke detector, this just takes a 9-volt battery, just like a residential smoke detector. And you know, those things beep at you pretty loud. Last thing is the awning. We're gonna open this awning. It's a little windy today. It's not the best day to be messing around with an awning, so I may just open this part way to demonstrate for you. So on the panel, you see there's a switch over here. We're gonna hit down and that's gonna lower this awning. So you can see now this is starting to come out. And I'm not gonna go all the way with this because it's getting gusty out here with winds, so I don't wanna risk this. So I'm gonna stop it here just to kind of go over how this works. Normally you hold that button down. This awning comes out 8 feet, okay? Once it's out all the way, you'll see this arm with this bolt. This is an adjustment. So you can use this arm to lower the awning. In fact, you can see right here it says pull down to adjust pitch. So, I don't know if I can do this right now or not, but do you see how you can bend that arm and it pivots? What that actually does, that lowers the awning to create drainage. If it's a light rain, you're going to want to pull these down to adjust the pitch. Because normally when it's straight, this awning is going to come out straight across. It's not going to be for draining water. It's only going to be for sun. If you get a light rain, you're going to want to lower these. And that's going to tip this. Again, it doesn't show up right now because we're not open fully, but you'll see when you go to do it, you can use that to create drainage. Now, if it's heavy wind or if it's gusty, like it is today, thunderstorm, anything like that, you're going to want to close this. In fact, heavy rain, you have to close this. You want to be very careful. This is a giant sail. Kind of use common sense. And if the weather's getting bad, for sure, close this thing. These are very easily damaged. So be very careful with this. Now, when you go to close this, you can see this door can have a tendency to touch the awning. And you don't want this to rub over here. So when you close the awning, you may want to close the door part way so it's not going to rub on the arm. And you just now hold the button down and you let this thing roll in. One cool thing on this awning, even if you forget and you've left it in the pitched position. So see that arm where I pulled it down to pitch the awning? See, it's still bent a little bit. Well, as you close this, it's going to straighten itself out automatically. So even if you forget to do that, that's okay. No worries. It's going to take care of it itself. Okay? That closed the awning up for you. Okay. That completes the walkthrough video. I'm going to shut your furnace off. It's still running right now. So remember to turn this off. You're just going to push this switch to the right. It says off. There's an arrow pointing to the right. These are a little tricky. You have to push on it kind of hard, and then it snaps. So that's off. That's on. Okay? All right, if you guys have any questions on this unit, feel free to call us. You can also text our main number here. You can also text us, and I get those right on my cell phone. So even if we're closed, if you guys have any questions or you forget how to do something, feel free to text me. If I can help you out, I certainly will. And you can email us too, obviously, of course. You're going to get my email in this video link. You'll be able to reply if you have any questions. Thank you. Okay, in the bucket is your starter kit, and I'll go over some of the items in here with you. So this is a wash and wax. This is used on the exterior. This is a non-abrasive cleaner. It's something that's safe to use on the roof, the awning, your car. It's a nice soapy cleaner to use to keep it looking nice. There's also some RV marine toilet paper. Now this paper is special for RVs because when it sits in your holding tank, it will dissolve, and that's to prevent clogging and to prevent fouling the sensor that tells you how much water's in the tank. So make sure you use RV marine paper when you're out camping. There's also a 25-foot freshwater hose, and this is just like a garden hose, except this is drinking water safe. This is what you use to put water into your camper. And this is a waste hose, so this is what's used to empty the camper. On the other side, remember where you had the cap, where your black and gray valves are. You take the cap off, this screws on, the other end goes into the port in the ground. This is the electric adapter. This goes on the end of the cord, and this converts from a camper plug, which is a 30 amp, down to a 15 amp. So you can plug this in at home or with an extension cord if you need to. Inside this bag are 4 pouches or 3 pouches of the chemical for the toilet. And before you go camping, you take 1 pouch, you flush it down the toilet, and that stays in your holding tank while you're camping. The last item is the water pressure regulator. This screws on to the faucet at the campground before you connect your hose. And that's to limit the water pressure coming into your camper so that it doesn't damage anything inside the unit.